just amazing. Like I could not do this opportunity, so much so, I literally left surgery to come here and do this opportunity.
Wow.
So yeah, I look at it like this. Michael Jordan played with the flu. Kobe came halftime and scored, what was it, 81 points. Beyonce played with a fan in her hair. So I have really no excuses. So so that's how I look at it. That's, greatness. It's all about greatness. But forgive my voice, but we're gonna do this. We're gonna have some fun because, honey, you got a hit on your hands.
Thank you.
You have a hit on your hands. And we're gonna get into it. But before we get into the book, I want to talk about Black Fashion Week. First and foremost. So like, when did you get into that? Like, what inspired you to get into Black Fashion Week?
Well, I've always had a love of fashion. Well, three things: fashion. I enjoy marketing, and I also study Black American studies, and I love Black history from a child, and into my adulthood, and studying Black fashion, and studying Black history, being able to travel to Ghana, take study abroad trips to learn about the culture of African culture merging it with African American culture. So after spending some years in retail working for Bloomingdale's, I was selling dresses, and I'm like, okay, I wonder who's the designer behind this. And then one of the designers was Tracy Reed, who was from Detroit. She's an African American designer. She was an A-list.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, I'm selling the Black designers high fashion garments. Did some research. I'm like, okay, where are the other Black designers at? Like, it was only one or few. Her, B. Michael, whose products sold and dresses, and anybody know
Yeah.
about B. Michael, high fashion designer, was sold in Macy's and things of that sort.
Yes.
We have our local celebrity designers here in Chicago, Barbara Bates, to name a few, the Quentin D. Alexanders. I'm like, but where are the other mainstream designers in New York Fashion Week? I was like, I don't see them on the runway. So I said, okay, we need our own platform to highlight the aesthetics of our Black designers and to really support them,
Mm-hmm.
and to spread the word about their fashion to a larger Black consumer audience at once. And that was really the main purpose for starting Black Fashion Week.
I love it. And it looked like you're wearing some Black fashion tonight. Let's talk about it.
So yeah, my little hat came from one of the boutiques featured in this publication, y'all, and Personalities Boutique. Shout out to them in Oak Park, Illinois. She styled my upper image today of my hat, my jewelry, and the glistening necklace.
Girl, look at that neck piece. Oh my God.
Yeah, so shout out to Personalities. They've been around for a while here in Chicago. So yeah, so that's who I'm wearing today for this.
I love it. I love it. So one of the things about your book that that stood out with me the most is like I told you before, when I first went in and I went through and I read the snippets, I'm like, she literally have a fashion Bible. It's like a fashion Bible. It's a go-to fashion Bible. For people like me, what resonated the most is like you have a go-to guide where not only, it's something that you can go to for, body type. You tell exactly where to go, budget, things like that. So what inspired you to create this book? Like, because it was freaking genius, to say the least.
Thank you so much. So for the same reason I started Black Fashion Week with the designers not having the exposure on the runway, and people not knowing who's who in Black fashion industry, was the same thing for the boutiques and the our brick and mortar Black owned fashion. But I'm like, you might know about them if you live in that community. If you live in Hyde Park, yeah, you're gonna know who all the Black boutiques in the area. Or you might know about them in, let's just say, Chatham Avalon or South Shore. But having a resource where you can find all of them in one single place, consolidated the resources So if you, it's just like the mall, but not the mall. Like you got to go around and shop with this book. But that was really the main purpose for wanting to kind of educate and inform people of where to go by neighborhood as a travel guide. And also because in Chicago, we have more Black owned boutiques than predominantly most other metropolitan cities, even New York in the fashion industry. As I've gone, it's so flooded with the Italians and the
Yeah.
French and the high fashions that you have them in Brooklyn, you have them in Harlem, but Chicago, we got it locked down when it comes to
Yes. Oh no, we
Black
got the beauty
owned.
on lock.
We have it on lock in terms of Black owned fashion brick and mortar stores. And I said, oh wow, this is amazing. We have to do this. And then the other thing was, we don't have a travel guide for Black America in terms of where to go. Here in Chicago, you got Choose Chicago, and no diss to them, but I don't see people of color listed in those neighborhoods where they can take them to our neighborhoods and it impact our economic, our
Yeah.
economic stability. So I said, oh, we need this, and ultimately because of my Black history studies, I flash back to Victor Green, little green, the Green Book. Sorry, not Little Green Book, but the Green Book that was published in 1936 by New York, postman who wanted to help Blacks
Mm-hmm.
navigate during the Jim Crow era. So I said if he could do that book during that era when we're in segregated, why can't we have another book? We're not segregated anymore. So we should have a resource guide to help us navigate to if we wanted to shop and support our business, we should have a resource guide that's published every so often to navigate to our businesses.
Yeah, and not only that, you talked about like you went into detail. Like you didn't leave nothing on the table. You talk about the difference between fibers and fabrics. Can
Yeah.
we talk about that a little bit? Because I had no idea it was a difference.
Yes, there is a difference between fibers and fabrics. So, as you know, fabrics are made of different types of fibers that are loomed together. Now, I'm going to flash back to my time where I studied in Ghana
Mm-hmm.
on a study abroad trip. I actually stayed with an African fashion designer who made me clothes like on the spot. But when I was there in the villages, I too learned and was educated. I saw these Africans looming the weaves, the fabrics and the threads to make the fabric. And I was like, OMG. They had the fibers, the threads, and they were making the woven fabric or looming it for the
Yeah.
knitted fabric. And I was like, wow, this is just amazing. A lot of people don't know that different fabrics are made of cotton fabrics or blend between synthetic fabrics and natural. There's only 4 or 5 natural fabrics there, out in the marketplace where there's only about 4 or 5. Many people may know, so that's why I'm educating them between there's cotton and there's wool and there's silk and then there's linen and flax. So
Right.
those are like your primary, those are the primary natural fibers that make up the different fabric blends and patterns and colors that start coming into play and texture.
I love it. Now you have, I was going through your list too of a lot of your stores that you have, the boutiques and things like that. Like shout out to Cameron B. You had Pamela, the bridal boutique. So you got literally something for everybody. So how did you put that together? Like when you were putting this guide together, like what did you think about? Like, hey, I want to make sure I have a shoe person. I want to make what was the deciding factor? Because you got some heavy hitters in here.
I didn't want to leave anybody out, whether it was high fashion or budget. So there is a number of resale shops. There is a number of vintage, like you said, high fashion, men's only stores in this publication, women's, both, kids that are integrated within some of the stores. So I really just wanted to itemize it so that any given time, one, there will be no excuse for us not to support our Black fashion businesses and say, hey, they don't have what I need. When I'm like, okay, well, let me put a visual key guide so you can quickly say, well, this store has women's shoes. I can go here. I can go to their website. So that's really the concept of making it easy for people to pinpoint what they need.
Yeah, because one of the things I will say, guys, for those of you, the reason why, and I told you earlier this week on my live, it's not just a want. I mean, it's one thing to support your friends and buy their book, right? But it's another thing to literally have a guide. This is literally a go-to. If you're wondering if you can shop somewhere on a particular budget, she breaks that down for you. If you're wondering if you got places for your body type, she break that down for you. She even give you a fashion glossary so you can know what's what. Shoes, clothes, men, women. She omitted no one when it comes to this actual guide. So that being said, give us a breakdown. You know, for your words, Melanie, why should we buy this book?
Oh, I think you should buy this book because it's going. I think you'll be one. You're going to find it fun and interesting, learning about different stores and communities that you haven't even been to. Like even though we all live in Chicago, I'm gonna be honest. I have about 60 something featured low spotlighted boutiques, then additional maybe 50 to 60 more nearbys that I couldn't even interview because it was too late for them to be a part of this publication, but I wanted to still shout them out as a nearby boutique. And then we have bonus boutiques across the nation that I reached out to stores in New York. So if you take my book to New York, you'll be like, oh, I can hit up Brooklyn, I can go here, I can go to Harlem, I can go, Manhattan. If you go take this book to Atlanta, I got stores listed in Atlanta, I got stores listed in Houston. So I think honestly, you hit it dead on in terms of like this is the ultimate like Black fashion because we're highlighting all Black businesses. Yeah. I also highlighted nearby complimentary.
I was just about to go there. Go ahead. Yep, that was my next follow up. Go ahead. She did not leave nothing out. Listen, walking brilliance.
I wanted to highlight Black owned beauty nail and spa salons. So we have about 11 to 12 of those around Chicagoland area. I wanted to do the bookstores. There's a handful of those. I wanted to do our art galleries, our culture institutions. Of course, we have the Stable Museum, our oldest Black museum in the country, right here in Chicago. We couldn't leave out those types of institutions. And also like the dining, like I have my favorite places that I've been to dine, and there's still places in this book that I've not been able to. It's so many, so I'm going to be shopping and touring this too. And then in the summer, you guys can grab your girlfriends and just hit up a neighborhood. And any given neighborhood that you hit up in terms of or travel to, you'll be able to say, okay, I'm going